Hey everybody, I'm Blake Glenn, and we're behind the scenes of Looney Executive. I'm going one-on-one with Dave Gasper, serial entrepreneur and philanthropist in Dayton, Ohio. And Dave, one of the things that I really want to focus in on in our TV show discussion, one of the issues that we talked about was the issue of capital, venture capital, angel investing, capital needing to be one of the legs of creating a technology hub in the region. So what are your thoughts on the role of capital and the Dayton market in particular? What do you see the capital being right now?
Well, capital is one of the most critical issues that an entrepreneur faces in starting a business, and every business faces an expansion going on. So it's an issue which countless time has been spent on, and it's probably one of the most difficult jobs on earth because for investors there's tremendous risk in putting money into ventures, and the higher the risk, the higher investors want in terms of reward. So it becomes a very delicate balance between the entrepreneur who's trying to raise the capital and the investor who's very uncertain about the environment. So, one of the things that I always recommend to entrepreneurs to do is to raise as much of your own capital in the prototype and get to the first customers as you possibly can. Prove your concept first before you go out and start looking for more capital, because the amount of time it takes to land the capital is very, very difficult. It's very time consuming, and it distracts you from your mission.
So on that front end, then you're really talking about self-financing and friends and family for the most part.
You really want to try and do as much of that possible, because the best thing about doing those things is it lets you retain control. When you start chasing capital, you have to be able to cede control. And that's where most entrepreneurs are very uncomfortable, because they're control freaks. So if you look around, you asked about the Dayton area, there's lots of capital available through a number of different programs. And capital can come in a variety of areas. They can come from bank loans and credit cards, to the entrepreneurial signature program that the Dayton Coalition has, to private angel investors like the Ohio Tech Angels, to venture capital firms that are located in the area and invest all throughout the United States. But they're all set up specifically for what stage and what size of business you're going for. So that's the other thing that an entrepreneur should really do, is size up exactly what the capital needs in terms of the risk, the sizability, and the scalability. The larger your need for capital, the larger the risk and the longer it's going to take to put that together, and the more uncertain that investors are going to be, and they're going to really spend a lot of time doing their due diligence, which is very time consuming and draining. It's also emotionally draining.
Well, there are a couple things. One is, you mentioned venture capital, and I think a lot of people look at the Dayton market, including myself, and you and I have had the discussion in the past, and maybe I'm not linked into the venture capital market here, but I just don't see a lot of venture capital in this market.
There's not as much as you would say like in Silicon Valley, but there really is. There's venture capital that runs in a variety of forms. So we've had, for instance, here Miami Valley Venture 1, Miami Valley Venture 2. Raj Swain has a venture capital group. I think Clay Mateel actually does some venture capital. So
and these people, Raj Swain is who?
Raj Swain is the founder of Swain Industries, and he sold his business as well, and he's created some venture capital institutional investing.
Okay.
And those are all very high-end institutional investors. And then you also have the angel fund groups, the private investors, such as the ones that join Ohio Tech Angels. So sometimes it's not easily transparent, but there are a lot of those venture capital, and you don't always necessarily need to find one directly in Dayton as well. So there are venture funds like River Cities, which are located in Cincinnati,
okay.
and then there's others in Columbus, and in their radius they'll certainly invest in good business plans and what they hope are sound investments in the Dayton area, Columbus, wherever that they find in their geography they'll support them.
And something just occurred to me, and I just want to shift gears just quickly. It's in the same ballpark, which is in this market, in the Dayton region, where are the other Dave Gaspers? And what I mean by that is people that have built their companies and cashed out, either sold them or did IPOs or whatever it is, and they're deciding to either do more businesses or not, or mentor like you are. Because you're the one that's the most visible that I see. Where are the other ones at?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of those entrepreneurs who, all too often what entrepreneurs will do is once they've cashed in their business, they will leave town and they'll retire and leave
Florida.
communities. Yeah, they'll go to some place and spend time on the beach and whatnot. And so there's not nearly enough of those. But there are some people who stay in town. The most prominent one is Clay Mathiel. I mean, Clay Mathiel sold his business to Procter & Gamble for $2 billion. And he has stayed in the Dayton area and continually and constantly invests in the Dayton area, such as Aileron. I mean, he's built a very large organization that does mentoring, does management support for organizations. So he's the most prominent one that you see. But there's others, people like Dave Ashcraft and Mike McCall. But a lot of times what happens is many of those entrepreneurs, they're less visible than someone like myself. Clay Mathiel is a very private person, even though he does a lot of things behind the scenes. So often those entrepreneurs that cash out, they have a tendency to go into more low-profile mode. And at times I've gone into a little bit of low-profile mode, but I've really become more of a visible person in the community. So that's why I'm the name that sticks out the most.
Yeah, you're on a big billboard now on one of the highways in the Dayton system.
Well, that's right, because my wife and I support the Dayton Foundation. So, what we felt after we sold the business was that it was still important for us to invest in the community, and we looked at doing it in two ways. One was building entrepreneurship, because we believe in social justice a lot of times is the creation of good jobs, the creation of businesses, economic value for many more people adds a lot more to the value of our society. Then the other things we've done though is, we've tried to look at the people who have a lot less advantages for us. So we help out for food banks. We're a big supporter, just like you are, of the Dayton Early College Academy, where we're trying to get urban students to go to college and beyond and have successful careers like you and I have, because college has worked out very well for us. So we try and make those investments in those areas. And a lot of times, to draw attention to those causes, you have to be very visible.
Well, you heard it from Dave Gasper, CEO, entrepreneur, philanthropist, angel investor. Thank you for going one-on-one with me. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
And thank you for watching. We've been coming live from Involvement Advocacy's Blue Sky Art Gallery on Courthouse Square in Dayton, Ohio. I'll see you next time.